Welcome back to Give Me Rent. This is Dylan and Noah. This week we were able to see a early screening of the new Evil Dead movie, Evil Dead Burn, and we both love this movie. I had a great time with this movie. Noah, I think you agree. This was insane. This movie was nuts.
Yeah, I'd say that it was even better than Rise, maybe on par with 2013's Evil Dead. All these new Evil Dead movies are insanely intense, but
Yeah.
they are, I think, exactly what Sam Raimi and co. were going for back when the originals came out. I've loved every single one of these new movies.
Yeah, I think that's why we want to talk about it today. Like, I genuinely believe that this is the most consistent horror franchise ever.
I definitely agree. I know it's not for everyone. It works for me. I think it definitely works.
I think if you look at just the horror genre in general, not everything is going to work for everyone. It's
Yeah.
a genre that goes to many different places. But if you are a fan of this franchise, not only do I think you're going to love Evil Dead Burn, but I think you'll agree, like, the two eras that you have of it, where it's like the old movies, you got the old original trilogy, Evil Dead, Evil Dead 2, and Army of Darkness. And then you just have this completely new era that started in 2013 with Fede Alvarez's remake, whatever, reboot, whatever you want to call it, which is just, I think, exactly what they wanted to do in the 80s, but kind of fully realized, where it's so violent and just so messed up. And I think it's what Raimi wanted to do, always wanted to do with the franchise, but they're able to do it now because it's, one, they have the money, and two, it's just like modern, so it looks visceral and just insane.
Yeah. I'd say this newest one, Evil Dead Burn, probably one of the most gruesome.
Yeah, and they cut a lot from this movie. Keep in mind, this was gonna be NC-17.
It has one.
This had an NC-17.
I'm not gonna spoil it, but it has one scene in particular that got me feeling like.
Yeah, I remember you were literally like bent over, like.
Yeah, I
sick.
genuinely had to take a minute. I didn't expect. Like, I really enjoy these types of movies that are heavy on gore, heavy on stuff like that. But there was this one moment where I was like, wow, I feel a little sick. So that's impressive for them to get there.
Yeah, but really, I compare this to other franchises. There's some other really strong horror franchises. I think, like, The Conjuring has a really...
Yeah.
There's a lot of movies in it. So, like, some of them aren't
But
great.
I'd say, Evil Dead still, at least for me, because I don't dislike any of the Evil Dead movies.
Yeah. I'm trying to think about other... putting it against other horror franchises. It definitely beats, like... for me, it's weird because Halloween is my favorite, like, one of my favorite movies ever. Like,
The
even
franchise
above
is terrible.
any Evil Dead's, but the franchise itself, the whole franchise.
I'd say it beats Scream, which is probably the second most consistent.
Yeah, but Scream, I feel like at this point, there's so many misses in the Scream franchise.
That's what I'm saying. It beats Scream, but I still think Scream is pretty consistent.
It's the only one. It's the only franchise where I genuinely like every movie in it. And then it's got a great TV show on the side. Ash vs. Evil Dead is great.
Well, that's something great that they gave us because it was kind of two avenues. And there's different types of fans of the franchise now where they just like the newer stuff. I guess some Evil Dead fans don't like the originals.
The first movie itself was made on, a budget of essentially nothing. They didn't have any funds for that movie whatsoever.
Under $1 million.
And it's one of the most profitable movies ever. Because, people took to it and were like, wow,
you can compare it to something like Obsession from like
literally, today. Yeah, it's kind of like the Obsession level
like 1981.
in the 80s, because it was just no one thought anything about it.
Well, yeah, the first movie, Evil Dead from 81, directed by Sam Raimi, it got a lot of buzz after it came out. And, that led to Evil Dead 2 in 87, which is essentially the first movie redone with a higher budget. It is a sequel, but it does kind of sort of act like a retelling in some ways.
Yeah. But it's also a very different take on the franchise because I would say Evil Dead, the original, it's pure horror. Like, it's definitely, there's not really much humor in that movie.
There's definitely some humorous lines in it, but yeah, 2 amps up the slapstick humor.
The campiness is up, too.
The campiness is up, and characterization is much more goofy, with Ash, obviously, becoming more Ash. Like, he is known as a certain, you see him a certain way, obviously, after seeing Evil Dead 2 and Evil Dead, or an Army of Darkness, which would be the third Evil Dead. He's very different in that first movie.
Yeah. He's more kind of just
and
like
he's obviously seen a certain light after Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness and him getting the show Ash vs. Evil Dead. So it's funny going back to 1 and seeing it being so serious. But I still love that first movie. It re-released earlier this year. I was able to see it in theaters, and it does hold up in its own way. Obviously, a lot of it is dated, but it's still a very effective movie, especially for knowing, its budget and just how young Raimi and co were going out there to make that.
Yeah, and then you jump to Evil Dead 2. It is a crazy, at least for me, it's a crazy step up from that first movie because it was like, yeah, they actually had some money. They were like, let's do some stuff here.
Yeah.
Like, let's really try some new things. And they implement the slapstick humor, which I think works very
What
well.
I was trying to say before, too, is that, there's a lot of people for Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness, the two that followed the original.
Yeah.
It doesn't work for them. And they're still fans of this franchise, but I think it's great that you have these different avenues. You can go down the comedic route, or you can go down a pretty harsh route with like the newer films, which are still funny in their own right, but in a different way. They're still extremely dark, and
The violence and
Evil Dead 2
the darkness comes
Evil
first.
Dead 2, like we've been talking about, it's gory, it's still horror, but then 3, Army of Darkness, is definitely more an adventure movie with still some horror bits sprinkled in.
Yeah.
But it's definitely the biggest divergence the franchise takes.
I think for Army of Darkness, Raimi's approach was like, he saw the character of Ash and he's like, I can put this character in a bunch of different scenarios. And he's like, let's put him back in the medieval ages. Let's do something fun. And it wasn't what everyone really wanted for the franchise. However, Army of Darkness is one of my favorite movies.
In all-time, super quotable movie.
Yeah, it's one of the most quotable movies
super
ever.
memorable
It's
set
Ash
pieces.
being Ash. Great stuff. It's one of those great, just like under 90-minute movies too. Such an easy watch. I can watch it whenever it's on.
Well, what's great is for this franchise, because after Army of Darkness, it laid dormant for a long time. You get 2013's, Fede Alvarez it's sort of reboot, retelling, but it's just not really retelling because it's new characters, but it's doing that original Cabin stuff.
Yeah.
But then a few years after that, they gave us a show on Starz, Ash vs. Evil Dead, which I'd kind of look at it as like an amalgamation of the original trilogy because it has the horror, it has the slapstick comedy, and it's got like Ash being Ash from Army of Darkness.
Because that's the Ash that everyone had known to like love over the years. That's where he's the purest.
In all additional media
form.
that came out following Army of Darkness, say it be like comic books or video games, Ash was Army of Darkness Ash. But kind of thrust into like an Evil Dead 2 scenario with the gore and all that.
Well, that's why I love that show so much.
Yeah, it finally realized that. And all 3 seasons were phenomenal. I kind of wish it was continued.
It's one of the most slept on series maybe ever. No one watched
it. The people who were in it make fun of it because, it was on Starz. Not a lot of people watch Starz just in general.
It's a weird thing. But I remember exactly where I was when the trailer dropped for this because I was just like, oh my God, not only are they bringing Evil Dead back, but they're bringing Ash back, which was just such a big deal. Because for me, we've talked about it many times on the channel, he is in like the pantheon of just horror characters.
Yeah.
I think he's really up there. He's so engraved into the genre and just like, I don't know. He's just such a great character.
Love him or hate him, he's an iconic
and
character.
Bruce Campbell is just like the king of the B movie. He's just so good at playing that character.
Yeah. No, agreed.
I think it just works so much. And I think it's a shame. I mean, the show even got canceled. It did. It was going to have more seasons.
The ending still does work,
I think the ending works, yeah.
I wish there was more. There was even a rumor of, I think, an animated series just to continue it. Because I think Bruce is done. Like, I don't think he'll ever be back as Ash.
He's still a producer in this series. He still
he's
loves
done
this
being
series.
the character of Ash.
Yeah, I think he's done being Ash.
The show is already stretching it.
It's a shame. I mean, we've also talked about it on this channel too, but just the pilot alone of Ash vs. Evil Dead.
It's one of my favorite.
It's directed by
episodes of
Raimi.
TV.
It is such a good opening, and and I actually think that the finale too, it kind of works. It weirdly
definitely works. And it's crazy following Ash vs. Evil Dead. Well, you'd think it's crazy because when Ash vs. Evil Dead came out, you think they're pivoting back to older stuff, going back to the old Deadites, the comedy, all that stuff. But then Evil Dead Burn got announced, and Evil Dead Rise got announced. Evil Dead Rise got announced. I think it came out 2023, so it's
22
or 23. It's still fairly recent movie. This movie I'd say is my least favorite of the franchise. But I love them going back to stuff from 2013, the harsher Deadites. You get the best Deadite performance in it with the mom.
It being the worst movie, it's got one of the best
No, it's my least favorite of the franchise, but I like every single movie.
It's not saying much.
Yeah,
they're all
it's
great.
not saying all too much, but I'd say the movie, one of its weaknesses would be it trying to call back to the OGs when it's kind of a continuation in 2013 and what that was doing.
Yeah, you think it should have done more of its own thing.
Yeah, no, for sure. And it does with the mother and all that stuff. So in the end of the day, and especially the creature in the end of it, like that is some interesting stuff.
Mm-hmm.
These last two movies have done that where it ends with kind of an interesting version of Deadites. I really was into that. I think it's cool where I think the current state of the franchise is awesome where it's Sam Raimi handing off his vision to different filmmakers.
Mm-hmm.
He's letting them write it as well. He's a producer on it. Bruce and Rob Tapert also produced it. Like the team is still there producing these films, but different filmmakers have now been able to get their own spin in this.
And I think it's been a great choice every time.
Every
it's always
single
been
time,
an
it's
interesting.
been
It's always
interesting.
been very interesting direction for this new era.
Yeah,
So,
no,
like-
100%. Even this
Like they're
new
not
one.
they're not trying to replicate Raimi's style because you can't replicate Raimi's style. He's got his own thing, you know. So I really give props to Raimi for like really picking wisely for who's going to take on an Evil Dead movie because I think every time for this modern era, it's
Yeah.
been very interesting.
I mean, we got Fede Alvarez, who went on to do Alien Romulus, and he's done other things. I think did Don't Breathe as well. Fede Alvarez. He's done a few great films, and I think it was a great choice for 2013. That movie is, I'd say, the most. Burn gets close, but I'd say the most intense Evil Dead movie, maybe 2013.
Yeah, it's
For some, it was even too much, where they thought
pretty intense. Yeah,
it's dark. But I love the new protagonist in that one. Mia is, I'd say,
Great
the second
addition,
best
yeah.
character in the franchise besides Ash.
she's great. Yeah.
And I would love to see them come back. There's not too much connective tissue with these movies. These last two, I'm not going to spoil it because
They're
Burn
trying to
hasn't
do
even
something.
released.
It seems like, yeah.
But there's a little connective tissue now, so I'm excited to see where it goes. Maybe Wrath, which is the next one coming. We already have a new one being filmed. I think they might even completed filming it. It's coming maybe next year. We're getting another one,
Yeah,
Wrath, which is
2027.
going to be taking place before the first movie, which is interesting.
Yeah. Does that
It
mean
could
that
tie
they
in
wanna,
everything.
Yeah. Do they want to
One big connective tissue is Dr. Nobi, which is someone who was studying the Necronomicon. He's introduced in the first movie in the lore, and he's really explored in 1 and 2, as well as the show. His daughter's in the show, played by Lucy Lawless, which was great to see that continue. But now we're getting some connective tissue in these new movies with that as well.
I'm curious. Is the original trilogy connected?
That is the connective tissue we have right now, and it could connect everything.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, just to keep looking at this new era, like jumping to Evil Dead Rise, which is, a Lee Cronin movie.
Yeah.
Another interesting choice. He just had The Mummy, too, which everyone was kind of saying looked like an Evil Dead movie, which is funny.
I'd
But-
say my least favorite direction of the three was his. And I mean, I'm saying it was
But
my
I
least
I
favorite
still
three.
think he
But
brought
it was
so much
still
to
very
it.
interesting.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
think he brought it
I
to
think
it.
he definitely brought an interesting style to Evil Dead Rise.
Yeah, and then you jump to Burn, which was directed by Sebastian Vanacek,
A
who is
French
a
filmmaker.
French filmmaker,
Yeah.
who I wasn't totally familiar with, but I think one of my biggest positive notes from this new movie was the direction. I
Yeah.
thought it was super interesting. I thought he brought so much to the
First
table.
20 minutes of the movie, really the lead into the title, it was extremely engaging. I mean, the whole movie really never lets up, but I was super locked in to the opening of this movie. Our entire theater was very into it. People were clapping once it said the title.
Yeah,
It was
great.
just like, I'd say the last two movies had, actually, every single movie in the new era, 2013 to now, every single opening is insane.
Yeah, and then including the title card too. The title card is
Every
always
single
really
time
great.
we get the title cards in these movies.
But
it's
yeah, you're
wild.
right. It's always like a cold opening, so it's like to like really bring
They're
you into
all
it,
so
but they're all
effective and they
great,
set
yeah.
the tone so well.
And they're
With
so
Burn,
different, too.
I had assumed being the longest. It was a long opening.
Yeah, this definitely took
It
a
took
good
its
while,
time to
but
get there, but once
but
it
it was
gets
great
there,
'cause
you were like, "Oh wow!"
it planted all the seeds.
Yeah,
so
it does what it needs to do to plant the seeds for the emotional bits in the movie.
Yeah.
It was very well done, I'd say. Because even like the editing in these last two movies has been so interesting.
Mhm.
They brought in like the editors on these films they're all been trying to do very different things, which has been weird but also exciting. We've gotten some all time, I'd say, Deadite sequences and some really crazy, intense stuff.
Yeah, I just think it's not talked about enough because I feel like this is exactly what horror franchises should be doing. It's like, yeah, keep it true to the original movies, to the original what they wanted to achieve, but let's let new people like
You have the bones. You have the bones.
Let's let new people,
It's
add a
Evil
new
Dead.
flavor to it.
I'd
Add
say
something
yeah,
to it.
Burn was like the one out of the three new ones where I was like, okay, like the where they're going is like different and all this. I think I said in another video we did where I think it just subverts your expectations so well.
Yeah.
It uses the tropes of this franchise to its advantage, and I think it creates some super effective scenes because of it.
Yeah, I mean, some of the best in the franchise. I really enjoy this new one, and I'm so excited for.
And
Wrath,
just
too.
like the two others, the newer movies, the Deadites, the demons, whatever you want to, the Deadites, they're so intense and they're so fun to watch because they're so unpredictable. I mean, just like in the originals, it keeps that spirit alive, but the new ones are just so intense to watch. Especially the Mother and Rise too. It's just
crazy.
I don't want to say much about Burn, but there's some stuff with the Deadites in it where it's like it's hard to watch. It's gross, but it's
That's the
so
point.
fun, and I was so engaged with it myself. I think fans of the franchise, just if you haven't seen Burn yet and you're listening to this, like just know you're in safe hands. Because in the end of the day, Raimi is kind of handpicking these guys to do this.
No, I think he's really taking his time and like picking wisely because for the last three, it's been very interesting, and we've seen it. I mean, we've seen it with Fede and with Cronin. They've gone on to do some very interesting things with their careers. They start off with these Evil Dead stuff, and it's kind of a showing of their talent. Like these movies are really. I'm really a big fan of this franchise, and I'm just happy to see that it is in the right hands, and they're doing interesting things still.
Yeah, like personally, I would love to see a return to Ash and all that stuff.
Yeah,
but if this is what we're getting right now, I can't really be complaining because it's high quality, it's very fun to watch, and we're getting a good amount of it.
Yeah, 100%.
The fact that we're getting another one,
eating.
I just looked it up. We're getting Wrath in 2028, but that's still soon to like.
I thought it was 2027, but 2028 is still there. I mean, we got one this year. It's
we're
towards
going
the end
back
of the year
to an
already.
American filmmaker. I haven't really heard of this guy, but Francis Galupi is directing the next Evil Dead movie, which has a pretty all-star cast, I will say, with Zach Gifford and Josh Hellman, Jessica McNamee. Like, this could be another great addition. I think it's gonna be. I just know this franchise is in great hands.
Yeah.
I really hope I don't see the day where we get a bad entry.
Yeah. No, I've loved it for the longest time, and I'm just happy that we're still getting movies.
Yeah,
it's incredible, and they're great.
Yeah, bring on more.
Yeah, for real. I'm curious to know, what do you guys think is the best horror franchise? What do you think is the most consistent? Because your favorite might not be the most consistent, but truthfully, this is my favorite. So let us know, guys. Let us know if you're checking out Evil Dead Burn, but we'll catch you guys on the next episode.